Computer. All right, people should be joining.
All right. We'll give everybody just a minute to connect to audio and join the Zoom. Right. And welcome everyone to Clinical Research Connections here at the end of February. I can't believe it's already almost over. We've got a pretty full agenda today, so I will jump right into the agenda and then we will do the audience poll at the end of Connections today. So on the docket for today, we have some updates from Allison and Ben on just sort of university research admin activities for the last 3 months. Trisha and Haley are going to talk to us a little bit more about the meet and greet for workforce development that occurred. Heike Newman is going to give us an update on the IND and IDE office. Kirsten is going to discuss UCHealth RECRUIT, and then Lori has some updates for us on UCHealth price and policy changes. So without further ado, I will hand it over to Allison and Ben.
Okay. I've only got one item. I let Ben talk, I think, about most of the other activity. Some of you may have seen a request that we're having a recruitment workshop on the 10th of March from 10 to 2. It's a workshop rather than a webinar. It's in person in the Fulginity. The goal of that is really for people who've been working in the recruitment and diversity DEI space to come together and explore what they've been doing, what's been working, what's not been working, and to really think about how we continue to network, what we could potentially be doing more to support centrally, and then maybe some specific projects that come out of that. So when you see on there that attendance is limited, it's really with the idea that we would like to have a broader participation from people who are really working in this space so that we can actually do some discussion and deep dive, and not to have like 10 people from one group dominate the whole conversation. So please don't think it doesn't apply to you. We really are looking for a cross-section of the clinical research community. And so we have as broad a representation as we can get, but preferably just 1 or 2 people from each team rather than 10. So it's not that we're not wanting you, it's just that we're trying to kind of get to a happy group of around 50 or so that we can actually have some discussion, but it can go up from there. But just so you understand what that is all about. And I think there's going to be another registration round coming from the Clinical Research Support newsletter on Friday. So look out for that. So, thanks. That's my update.
Thanks, Allison. I just have a couple as well. So it's awesome because Trisha's here to talk about workforce development and Heike is here to talk about the IND office. So I won't need to talk about either of those. They will update you on kind of where those things are. Trisha's talking about kind of a summary of the meet and greet and what we saw from that. The other piece that I think Trisha and Haley are working on is we did get over 800 respondents to the survey that went out on workforce development. And so we're trying to look at the data for that and figure out how to present that back to the research community. So that will be coming, not today, but in the near future. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention is that with the formation of the IND office, the team that was formerly called CTOP has moved into a new infrastructure in the Gates Institute. And so that team is now called the Gates Institute Cells Team for Clinical Investigation and Regulatory Sciences. And that is led by Chanel Mansfield. And so that team that was supporting those cell therapy studies within the OBCR in CTOP has moved over to that institute now. I think that's all I had to mention. So I know we have a lot going on. So Erin, take it away.
Thank you so much, Ben. So I will now turn it over to Tricia Griswaldo and Haley Steinhardt to talk a little bit about updates from the Workforce Development Meet and Greet.
Thank you, Erin. Haley's actually snowmobiling this weekend, so she couldn't join us. So back in November, Haley and I presented the Workforce Development Initiative to this group on the Research Connections. Since then, we've met with various research groups across campus. And one of the major themes that came from those discussions was really the desire to come together to connect with other research coordinators across campus and to build a sense of community. And so on February 2nd, we hosted a meet and greet over at the Krugman Hall. We had a great turnout. We had over 100 staff attend, and everybody got the opportunity to meet people that new faces and to be able to have that hour time together. And so at the meet and greet, we also had presented a poll to gain interest in continuing to build a clinical research coordinator community. And so with that, we had over 50 responses in a very positive manner to continue to meet throughout the this year. So generally speaking, the staff are really eager. They're seeking ways to collaborate with each other, learn new strategies, different ideas, what's working, what's not working. And they really want to develop personal and professional relationships, to learn from each other, and then to build connections. And so we're sending out a save the date announcement this week. The interest group meetings will be taking place over the lunch hour, and it's going to be an academic one building. We're going to plan on March, May, August, and November. And so we're really excited to continue to foster this concept of community building and look forward to sharing ideas on different ways that we can make this group successful.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Tricia. I will now hand it over to Heike Newman to tell us a little bit about the new IND IDE office.
Thank you so much, Erin. I see a lot of names that I recognize from previous submissions to the FDA. I apologize if it's been kind of quiet on my end, but I can assure you that my little group, which is Megan Schmidt and I, we're working very hard to put processes and procedures in place. In case you have not met Megan, I'll have Megan just give a little wave and introduction so that you know who she is, because chances are you'll be talking to her probably at least as much as you'll be talking with me. So Megan, give a quick intro.
Hi everyone, my name is Megan. I'm really excited to work with everyone if I haven't already started working with you. So really excited to be here and figure out all the nuances of the university. So thanks.
So with that being said, our current plan is really still to do the initial submissions to the FDA for drug and device studies that are for non-cancer indications and for all compassionate use requests on campus. Our current plan is to start working on these initial submissions on behalf of the local PIs in the second quarter of this year, probably the second half of that quarter, because we have a long ways to go and a lot of work to do. But our plan is still to really be active and open for the submissions to the FDA for everyone on campus in the second quarter of this year. We're currently testing systems and processes that we can use to work most efficiently with the study teams, primarily so that we can get a better handle on the version control of documents that we need to pull together and finalize for the submissions to the FDA. So chances are, if we start working with you, we'll be using processes that we haven't done before. Most of you have communicated with me via email, and that is just not a very efficient way of really working through a higher workload and a more diligent and more structured process for the submissions and for the review. So we're still testing processes and systems, and we're writing documentation so that we can actually train more people as we start growing our office. As I said, we're not planning on using email, so we're probably asking everyone to use Teams. If you have not used Teams before, this will be your first opportunity to work with us in a Teams environment. And Megan is like the expert on how to work with teams between different groups by now, so that will probably be the main platform that we're going to be using. With respect to the staffing, right now I only have Megan working with me, but we also hired a pharmacovigilance specialist who will help us develop and document in a more structured way everything that is related to adverse events and serious adverse events, and the tracking as well as the reporting to the different entities. And we are currently still looking for regulatory specialists who will really ultimately be the office's interface with the FDA, because they will be responsible for all the communication with FDA and with all the submissions to the FDA. So we're still looking for people who are excited to be part of this new office and help us really establish new processes and figure out how we can be a well-greased machine that just works on behalf of all the clinicians on campus with, and does the submissions on behalf of everyone. That falls under our responsibility. That's pretty much all I have on our office. We got a long ways to go, but we're chugging along one step at a time.
One step at a time. That's how it goes. But yes, very exciting that the IND IDE office is established and now hiring. So thank you very much, Heike. Next on the list, we have updates from Kristen Rayo on UCHealth RECRUIT. So Kristen, take it away. Or I'm sorry, Kirsten.
Oh, that's okay. Thanks. All right. Are you able to see my presentation?
We are not right now.
How about now?
No. Are you able to share screen?
Yeah, it indicates to me on my end that I am sharing. So, okay, there we go. Here we go.
Hey, there we go. Much better.
All right, there we go. Thanks. All right, so now you can see my initial.
Yep.
Okay.
Looks great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So I just want to give a brief overview of the Recruit tools that we are now offering to assist study teams with their recruitment efforts. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask them either during the presentation or at the end. As part of our system-wide innovation in 2022, we have launched our Recruit tools in an effort to improve patient access to research. We want to try and provide a mechanism by which our patients can learn more about research opportunities that they can participate with, as well as assist research teams with their recruitment efforts. And so to do this, we created what is called Recruit, and this stands for Research and Epic Collaborative Recruitment User Integrated Team. And this is a system-wide committee who governs and oversees the use of UCHealth's electronic health record for recruitment. Membership in Recruit includes individuals from UCHealth Research Administration, UCHealth's Epic team, digital patient experience team, and a user-dedicated resource from Health Data Compass. The goal of the Recruit committee is to develop and establish infrastructure, such as the Recruit tools, as well as provide education and resources for all Recruit initiatives. And essentially what what Recruit does and what recruitment tools do is they utilize Epic and My Health Connection to connect UCHealth patients with research opportunities. So who can use Recruit tools? We've created guiding principles that study teams are required to adhere to in order to use any of our Recruit tools. So the first guiding principle is that they may only be used for prospectively enrolling studies. They're not intended for retrospective studies or QA/QI projects. The PI of the study must be a CU Medicine or UCHMG provider, CU research faculty, or UCHealth employee. The accrual goal must be greater than 5 participants. The study must intend to be open to accrual for at least a year. That's not to say that if it eventually closes sooner, hopefully because they just had an overwhelming response, if it closes before a year, that's totally fine. But when you apply to use the Recruit tools, the study must be open for at least, or plan to be open for at least 1 year. It does require an open to accrual status and encore, and Recruit tools can be requested prior to OTA. So all of the different steps that are required to utilize a Recruit tool can be initiated prior to a study being open to accrual in Encore. And finally, it requires that potential participants have My Health Connection accounts. So we're only reaching out to individuals that have an actual active My Health Connection account with UCHealth. So the reports that we provide to study teams will only include individuals who have an active MHC account. And then one of our tools, the I'm interested button, will only be pushed to individuals who have that active account and have had a visit within the UCHealth system within the past year. So these are all just things to keep in mind with regards to who we're sending these Recruit invitations to or using to identify for recruitment lists that we provide to study teams. So we have 5 different available Recruit tools. They're all active right now. The first one is what we call focused recruitment messages. So a patient can receive a recruitment message containing information about a research study through My Health Connection. So the study team would use in-basket messaging in Epic and send their approved recruitment scripts to the patient. Importantly, to use just focused recruitment messages without any of our other tools, the study PI or the study co-PI must have an active clinical relationship with the individual. So you can't just send these recruitment messages out to just anybody. If you're not going to use another tool, they have to only be sent to patients that have a pre-existing clinical relationship with the study PI or co-I. The next research tool that we have is what's called the research preference profile. And patients use My Health Connection to indicate their research interests by providing their preferences for the types of research studies they want to learn more about. And they can update or change their preferences over time. And in a few slides, I'll go into more details about what this is and what that looks like. We also offer what are called recruitment lists. So teams obtain potential recruitment contact lists. These lists are identified using our health data or health compass data user, dedicated user on our team to identify potential participants that have a pre-existing treatment relationship with a study PI or co-I. The next recruitment tool we offer is what's called the I'm interested button. And essentially what this button does is it displays a virtual flyer of information about the research study to potential eligible patients and allows them to indicate if they're interested or not in the study. So we push out a description of the study, they receive it in their My Health Connection account, they can read it. And then at the bottom of the window, there are 2 buttons. There's a button that they can press that says I'm interested, or they can indicate they're not interested by selecting the not interested button. And then when we receive I'm interested responses from a potential participant, This gets populated into an Epic research dashboard that we've created for this tool. And then study teams can go in there, they can see those individuals that have responded that they're interested, and determine eligibility and identify whether they want to reach out and contact the patient about the study. And again, I'll go into more specific here about that in a little bit. And then finally, we also are now offering e-consent. So study teams can submit to have their informed consent built in Epic. And then patients can use their My Health Connection account to electronically receive the consent forms and can use meetings to review and sign to participate in a research study. So again, we are now offering e-consent for study teams who are interested in that. So the first recruit tool that I talked about is that we're offering these recruitment messages. And essentially what a recruitment message is it contains information germane about the research study and follow-up and contact instructions. And we actually require for all of our recruit tools that study teams submit this recruitment script, because anytime you contact a patient for the first time using My Health Connection, we ask that you use this recruitment script. Again, you can use it without requesting any other recruitment tools. But when you do that, you can only send it to patients that have a pre-existing relationship with the study PI or study co-Is. Again, it's sent to the research by the research team using in-basket messaging. And we do have a template script that we provide on the Research Administration SharePoint site that we ask study teams to use. We would like study teams to adhere to using the same formatting for use when they're going to be communicating with potential participants in My Health Connection. And again, like I said, with any of our recruitment tools, we require that this recruitment script be sent for the first contact with potential participants via My Health Connection. Okay. So we offer what's called a research preference profile. And we have sent this to all UCHealth patients that have an active My Health Connection account starting back in April of 2022. So when they go into their My Health Connection account under research opportunities, they will see that they've been offered to complete what's called a research preference profile. And this is what it looks like. So they can open it up and it has these two questions and they can respond to it by selecting areas of interest. They can select more than one area of interest or just one. And they have the ability to go back and update their preferences at any time. So if they change their mind and they no longer want to participate in an area, or they now do want to maybe participate in research in a different area, they can do that at any time through their My Health Connection account. And then patient responses are sent to and stored in Epic. So we have access to that, but study teams do not have access to the research preference profile responses. We currently have 41 categories that we offer, and these are in alignment with the UCHealth.org clinical trials page, which is connected to Encore. And as you can see here, we've so far as of today have little less than 6,700 people that have responded to our research preference profile request. And on the x-axis, you can see all of the different categories that we currently offer and the number of individuals who have responded. And aging and women's health and sleep are very hot areas of interest for UCHealth patients. And then some of these newer categories, some of these categories on the end are newer categories that we just added that study teams have requested. But this is also displayed on our UCHealth RECRUIT SharePoint site, so you can come at any time and see the current response rate for different areas of research interest. Any questions about that? Okay. So the research preference profile recruitment lists were created to help teams identify potential participants without having a treatment relationship. So when you request the research preferences profile list, you do not have to have a clinical relationship with a patient. So if a study PI is a PhD or a PharmD, this particular recruitment tool can be very useful, like I said, because you don't have to have that pre-existing clinical relationship to get the names of individuals who have responded that they are interested in an area associated with your study. Study inclusion and exclusion criteria used to identify the potential participants that indicate an interest in the area of research associated with the study. So when we're looking for potential participants to populate that list, we're looking at the area of interest that the study team indicates in their request, and we're only querying those individuals that have indicated that they have interest in it. So we're not looking across the entire EPIC records. We're just looking at those patients that have responded that they're interested in the area of research. The study teams determine the cadence of data pulls for lists. So for example, they can request that they receive the list weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly. Again, the first contact with a potential participant that's identified using the list has to be made using My Health Connection. And with these lists, teams should always verify potential eligibility prior to reaching out to a study participant. So Recruit will provide the list to the study teams. The study teams should go into the electronic medical record, verify that this patient is potentially eligible for the study. And then once it's determined, yes, they might be a good fit for the study, then you would want to reach out and contact them. Otherwise, you can just move on and not contact the individual. The second type of recruitment list that we have are those that can be requested for potential participants that do have a treatment relationship with the PI or sub-I. And so this is selected using the following option in our recruit request form. So you can see the top one is for that research preferences profile list. And then the second list is a recruitment list of potential participants that have that clinical relationship with the study PI or COI. As I mentioned before, Research Administration is partnering with Health Data Compass to obtain, we actually now do have a unit dedicated resource who serves on our recruit committee. And they are involved in pulling those lists of potential participants for prospectively enrolling studies that we provide to study teams. So again, this person is only looking to see if the eligibility requirements for the study are met for patients that have an existing relationship with the study PI or PI's clinic. Okay, so we're not looking at everybody in EPIC yet. That's where the I'm interested button comes in. As I mentioned, this is a virtual flyer that gets pushed to potential eligible patients and allows them to indicate an interest in a specific study. This is an example of what that button looks like when a patient receives it in their My Health Connection account. You can see it has a study title, a brief description about the study. It also provides the information about the principal investigator, and then it will also list any study coordinators that are listed as coordinators in Encore. And then at the bottom, you can see they have the option to either select I'm interested or no, thank you. So when a potential participant selects I'm interested after reading the description of the study, that response gets captured in EPIC in what's called a research coordinator dashboard. And so each study will have its own dashboard, and research coordinators can go in. They can see all of the lists of names that are populated in that dashboard, and then they can do a search to determine whether or not that patient is really eligible by looking at their medical record. And then if they determine that the patient potentially could be eligible for the study, they would send the recruitment script to that participant via My Health Connection, and that would start the conversation. Or if they determine they're ineligible, then instead of the recruitment script, we ask that study teams actually send an ineligible smart phrase that we already have created and study teams have easy access to, that just tells the patient, sorry, we've determined that you're not eligible for the study, but thank you for your interest and we hope you will participate in another study in the future. So that's how study teams manage the I'm interested responses that they receive for a particular study. So when a study team wants to use the I'm interested button, they provide us with a patient-friendly facing title and description. We ask that it not be too technical, and we actually now have a guidance document on the SharePoint site to provide instructions for study teams on how to write a good study description, because we want to, capture a potential participant's interest. Teams must respond to all I'm interested requests. So if somebody says they're interested and they're eligible, you send them a recruitment script via My Health Connection in basket messaging. And if they're ineligible, you send them the ineligibility smart phrase text. Now, if an individual selects that they're not interested for an I'm interested button submission, teams may still approach the patient regarding the study. So let's say they present in clinic and the study PI wants to talk to them about the study, they can still do so. So even if they say not interested, that does not mean that you can never talk to them about the study again. It just means that with that particular route of contact, at that point, they indicated that they're not interested. But again, a PI and study teams can still approach that patient using a different mechanism. We also ask that teams inform the recruit committee when there are any patient complaints about an I'm interested button that they received, and you can send that email to UCHealth Research Admin. And then teams must update Encore with the close to accrual status to end the display of the I'm interested button. So that's another thing that study teams need to keep in mind. That's how we start the process so that the I'm interested button no longer gets pushed out for the study. Again, I know I'm going over a lot of content, and they're on our SharePoint site under Recruit, we have a huge amount of information and guidance that study teams can reference at any time for any of these tools. And then finally, the e-consents that we are now offering. Patients receive the electronic informed consent form through their My Health Connection account, and then they can review with the study team and sign to participate in the research study. And this is just kind of a snapshot of what a patient would see on their end. This would populate in their My Health Connection account, and they could see the research consent. They could open it up. They would be able to read the entire research consent. Study teams can set up a meeting, a virtual meeting, to review it with them, and then they can review and sign and send it back to Epic. And it's at that point that the study team can go in and countersign and complete the consent signing process. When a consent is signed and completed in Epic, it does not need to be sent to him for upload. It's already considered to be an Epic, so study teams just have to update the consent information in Encore. Importantly, Epic is 21 CFR Part 11 compliant. So where there are concerns about this, it does meet all 21 CFR Part 11 requirements. The signed e-consent is available in Epic for study monitors and auditors to review at any time. And as I mentioned, they don't need to be sent to him for upload. Final signed e-consents are located in the consent tab in the Epic chart review, and that's how study teams can go in and complete the signature process. And then a participant has access to the signed e-consent document in their My Health Connection account in perpetuity. They can go in there, see it, look at it anytime. They can download it, print it. It is there as long as they have their My Health Connection account. So for those that are interested in utilizing these recruit tools, this is what the submission process involves. So study teams need to submit a request form to the recruit committee. We have those request forms. One is for all of the recruit tools except for e-consent. We currently have a separate request for e-consent. And again, those are found on the Research Administration SharePoint site under recruit tools. Once we receive the request, the recruit committee will review it and make sure that it aligns with all of our guiding principles. And this could take up to 3 weeks to complete, but the recruit committee usually meets on a weekly basis and we discuss the requests there. So again, it usually is faster than that, but we do have up to a 3-week window to complete that step. Anything that gets sent to a patient through My Health Connection has to be reviewed and approved by UCHealth Digital Patient Experience. And so that includes the recruitment scripts and the I'm interested button descriptions. So the next step, if those particular recruit tools have been requested, we send them to the digital patient experience team where they review and revise and then send those back to us. And they have 2 weeks to complete that from the time of submission. And once digital patient experience does complete their review, we will send that information to the study team because study teams then need to send everything to the IRB of record for final approvals, okay? So any language that's changed in the recruitment scripts or the I'm interested button, or even just the use of the recruitment tools, those all need to be approved by the IRB of record prior to use of the tools. And once we receive from the study team that they have obtained IRB approval for the recruit tools that they have requested, we go ahead and we build those recruit tools, and our turnaround time for that is 2 weeks. And as I mentioned, the recruit tools become available to study teams for use only after 1, all IRB approvals are received, 2, that the PI attestation is signed if recruitment lists were requested, and the study has to be open to accrual. Okay. So as I mentioned, we have the Research Administration SharePoint site, which I have a link to on this, and that's where you're going to be able to find a huge amount of information as well as all of the links that I've talked about. We also have some great learning assistance to guide study teams through the process of how to use the I'm interested button. So it shows you how to get access to the dashboard and then how to respond to a patient's I'm interested request. We also have guidance on how to do in-basket messaging, as well as a guidance on how to do the e-consent process. So these all can be found here on our Research Administration SharePoint site. And then when we have any major changes or we need to notify study teams about our recruit tools, right now we're providing that information by sending it out in the weekly Encore newsletter. So keep your eye open for that with that weekly Encore newsletter that comes out, I believe, on Wednesdays. And then finally, we're happy to discuss any of our recruit tools with any study teams at any time. So if you're curious about, what recruit tools might be most appropriate for a particular study, you can contact us, or if you just have questions about the process in general, you can always schedule a meeting with us to discuss. And we have the research recruit tools and e-consent consultation request on our SharePoint site. So it's actually right here on our main page. You can see, you can come up here and click this link and make an appointment with us. And then, of course, if you have any questions, you can always send us an email directly to Research Administration or to Lori, Marissa, or myself. So hopefully too much time, but that's all I had. Are there any questions?
We have a couple in the chat, but I think Lori is answering most of these. So Lori, I will leave it to you to answer this last question. Thank you. Thank you very much for that presentation. It sounds like it's a great tool for researchers to use. And thank you everybody for your questions in the chat as well. And thank you, Lori, for answering those. So I will go ahead now and turn it over to Lori for UCHealth price and policy changes and updates.
Okay, thanks so much. So let me just try to share my screen. Okay, great. So what we have is on our website, we have a pricing and facility review button that will take you to the page that lists all of our pricing. Every January, we repost our new fee schedule since it is CMS based, and CMS posts their pricing usually the first week of January. So study teams can go on here for the searchable 2023 fee schedule. We have also embedded in there CU Medicine prices. And then for anybody working also with North and South locations, the UCHMG, which is the UCHealth Medical Group, pricing is also in there as well. We also post all of our fee schedules for all of our ancillary services, and also the 11th floor and cardiovascular. So just wanted to make sure people were aware that it is posted and everything is available for 2023. Any questions to our pricing?
No questions, looks like. And feel free to unmute if you have a question as well. Excellent. Thank you, Lori. Any other updates regarding UCHealth policy changes? All right. Well, thank you very much. I think that brings us, if there is nothing else, to the end of our agenda. So I just want to share a couple of quick closeout notes. There is a registration link for the recruitment workshop. And remember, we'll go ahead and share that in the chat, but please remember that registration should be restricted to only one to a maximum of 2 people per team so that we can get a nice cross section of folks actually working in the recruitment space, especially related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. We're going to launch a quick poll just to collect information regarding your role in our research community and how long you have been with us. So please take a moment to stick around and answer that poll. If you have any topics that you would like to suggest for an upcoming clinical research connections, please send them to clinicalresearchconnections@cuanschutz.edu, and we will take those into consideration. Slides and recordings will be sent out at the end of the week for this session, and a schedule of dates and registration links can be found on the CREST website for future instances of clinical research connections. So just scroll down to the bottom there. I've shared that link in the chat as well. But thank you very much to everybody who presented today. And thank you for sharing your information. Everybody who responded with questions, thank you for sharing those as well. I hope that all of you have a great rest of your Tuesday and a great rest of your week. Thank you very much.